What's going on, everybody? Thanks for coming back to the channel. Have you ever wondered what all these sneaker words mean? Well, today we're gonna go through those definitions right after this. So once again, we have my good friend Emil over here.
Hello.
Do you want to plug anything?
Hi, my name's Emil again, if you forgot. And if you want to shoot me a follow for any, sneaker, hypebeast related content, my Instagram handle is MLWhatUp. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Like I said in the last video, I owe all of my knowledge to this guy. And so we thought it'd be a good idea for us to teach you guys who are maybe new to the sneaker game or trying to figure everything out, what these words really mean. First word, DS or Deadstock. What does that mean to you?
It's two things, two different things. The way I knew it 10 years ago, it meant that, a product or a shoe that was no longer made and no longer sold. You couldn't find it anywhere, stores wouldn't have it. And then now, people mostly use that term as a pair of shoes that are brand new.
And brand new, not meaning like you slipped them on and walked around the house. Mm-hmm. Like that's not Deadstock. Deadstock means like it's brand new in the box, has not been worn. Because a lot of people get those words mixed up.
Right.
Yeah. But
that's true.
If you were to wear them like once, then that kind of brings us to our next word, which is pads. P-A-D-S. When I first heard it, I was like, pads? Like, what are you talking about, right? So pads is an acronym that stands for pass as Deadstock. So the DS part, we got from the first word, and what it pretty much means is it's a shoe that's not technically brand new, but it's to the point where you almost can't even tell.
Right.
The third word for us is VNDS. So as we're going from Deadstock to pass to VNDS. So VNDS is an acronym that stands for
very near Deadstock.
Very near Deadstock. And a lot of people get this confused too. I don't know, why don't you explain this one?
So to me, very near Deadstock means, it doesn't look brand new. You can tell it's been worn just a little bit, but it's very, very close to passing as new. So maybe like a solid 9 out of 10. In my opinion, I would say VNDS is at least an 8.5 to 9 out of 10. Yeah,
and condition varies for people. Like even for me, VNDS is 9 out of 10.
Right.
And so as you guys can even see, this shoe is, I would say VNDS. Even if you wear these once, they're going to toe crease, and that's normal. But everything else about the shoe almost is brand new. So that's a good one for you guys to know. And then after that, there's not really terminology for the rest of it. It's just kind of like your sneakers used. Right. And what most people do is they'll rate it out of a number system. So usually it's out of 10. And 10 out of 10, I don't really see a lot of people do that.
No, because
they'll just write DS, like Deadstock, or at least pads. And then VNDS, or sometimes people will be 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10. Like I wore these once. And then after that, it's 8.5, 8, 7, 6. And so as you guys can see here, this shoe is a little bit more of VNDS, maybe more like an 8.5 out of 10, because it is used. It's an older shoe too, but it's still super clean, and it's not beat up or anything. Versus a shoe like this is a shoe that is so worn. And beat up, as you guys can see the toe box creasing, the yellowing, and all of that stuff. So make sure to judge carefully, because people will be mad at you if you sell them a shoe that's, you're like, nah, dude, this is a 9 out of 10, but then it looks like this.
Right.
People will be pissed.
Yeah, so many times I've come across sellers, on all platforms, especially eBay. Oh man, it's the worst. They got it in the pictures. They're like, hey, yeah, this is a solid 9 out of 10, and like he said, ended up looking like this. So
yeah. those are kind of like our normal rating things of what we talked about, but we also wanted to share a little bit more sneaker lingo about, you know, when people are referencing a shoe, because there's a lot of different areas to a shoe that a lot of, you know, beginners just don't even know. And so when people mention it, they're like, what are you talking about? So we'll take this awesome classic Jordan 1, for example, because this shoe is probably talked about the most or sold the most.
Right.
What would you call this part of the shoe right here?
So this part of the shoe here, I would call this the toe box right here.
Yeah, so the toe box is usually what ends up creasing the most out of people, because when you walk, it kind of, you know, makes that motion. And so usually people will talk about toe box creasing and how good or how bad it is. Like whether there's no toe box creasing or there is toe box creasing, it matters because it affects the value of the shoe.
Right.
Because it'll make it look more worn. Anything above this rubber part is going to be, you know, known as the uppers. And then you got your heel right here. It's kind of typical. It's where your heel goes. And then when you flip it on the inside part of the shoe, this is called the medial side. And pretty much it's just another part of the shoe that people should know about, because sometimes, like in Jordan 11s, that shoe creases a lot more on the medial side of the shoe rather than on the outer part. A few things that we want to talk about on the soles that is pretty important too when we talk about shoes. So why don't you tell them a little bit about this area right here?
So this area right here, commonly you'll find this area on all Jordan 1s, probably some Jordan 3s, and usually on Dunks. So, you know, this is strictly pertaining to these Nike and Air Jordan products. So they usually have these little stars here on the grip, you know, on the outsole. So usually some people, you know, they rate it on how worn a pair of shoes is by looking at the stars. So, you know, when you first hear it, you're like, what the hell is that? Like, stars, like, what do you mean?
Yeah, stars on shoes?
Yeah. So, like, you know, they look at this right here, you know, there's obvious star loss here. So some people, you know, they might grade that on a scale out of, like, percentage, like 70% is there, 80% is there. But, you know, that's usually just their opinion, so it's best to get detailed photos so you can actually see how worn it is.
As you guys can see, this one's pretty much, like, brand new, and this one has, like, 100% star count because you can see all the stars on here. Another part of the shoe that we usually talk about on the soles here is the heel, because another big factor is the heel drag. And so what heel drag means is when you're walking, you know, people have their feet pointed in different directions. Some people are pigeon-toed, some people are more like they point outwards. I forget what it's called. And also the way that people walk. It's not always a good heel to toe transition. Some people walk and they kind of drag their feet on the ground. And so over time, it kind of wears out the soles, especially on ones.
Right.
So as you guys can see here on this 94, like, you know, it doesn't look bad. It's still there, but it's kind of getting shorter and shorter up and closer to this white rubber midsole, versus like this one has a very, like, it's all there. Like there's a lot more rubber, and that just means it's going to last longer. And that affects the value because eventually these things will burn all the way through until it hits the actual rubber midsole. And then after that, you just need like...
You just got to get a new pair.
Other than that, there's not really too much other lingo. I mean, the part that goes inside the shoe that you can take in and out, it's called the insole. And those are things that you can replace, or, you know, that's something that's important when you're talking about... you know, shoes like Yeezys, because Yeezys, they get varied on how much insole writing is left, which is crazy to me, right? But so it's crazy that there's so many different words and so many different pieces of a shoe, but every piece matters when you're talking about condition and when it comes to selling. Because like for Jordan 1s, I can keep a Jordan 1 upper super clean, like very near Deadstock. But then the soles, like, there'll be heel drag and some star loss. So you also don't want to get sold a pair that looks really good, but it's slowly losing its life. So that's why it's always important to ask, like, hey, how much star loss is there, and where's the heel drag? Let me see an up close picture of that. Because then you're going to buy a shoe that looks like it's 9 out of 10, but in reality it's more like a 7 out of 10. So don't get, you know, juked up on that.
Yeah, don't get fooled.
Yeah, don't be a fool. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask us. We'll be more than happy to do that for you. And just like how he plugged his Instagram, I'm gonna plug mine right now. Go ahead and follow me at The Real Sneak Peek. I've been answering a lot of your guys' questions on there about where do I sell, how do I sell, and we'll make more content about, hey, how do you take the right pictures? What is the right sneaker etiquette? Right. You know, like, how do I conduct business and be a good businessman? Because I want to grow my own brand. Mm-hmm. So if you guys liked any of this stuff, if it was educational for you, or you just enjoy the content or seeing some of Emil's fire shoes, make sure to smash that like button and make sure to subscribe, because it really does go a long way. It really helps me to my goal of 1,000 subscribers right now. And let us know in the comments down below maybe what other questions you have, or maybe other good content that we should kind of create. So yeah, definitely let us know. But other than that, we just want to say thank you guys for joining us, and we'll definitely see you guys next time.
Peace.